architect and designer Yatin Moge, founder partner eCube Studios and also a faculty there, welcoming you all to this online demo class on mastering the human figure. Friends, this is going to be a series of demo classes which will be a step-by-step guide to help you from the basics to the complex versions of drawing and understanding human figures and its importance to various design fields. As you all know, there are different design fields and careers which have overlapping boundaries. To name it, you have architecture, interior design, furniture design, you have graphic design and animation design, industrial design, or what normally people call it as product design, fashion design, textile design, and many more upcoming design fields. The most important thing and the common factor between all these design fields is design is all about people. So we call design as a human-centric field. Let us understand about two terms which are very, very important before we even talk about understanding human figure, which is scale and proportion. So what do you mean by scale and what is proportion? So when we are talking about a single product, a single thing, or a human being, the relationship between the harmonious relationship between the parts of the body of the human figure to the whole body is the proportion. So, and scale is about the relationship between the parts of one thing with respect to a reference or something else, like the scale relationship between a human being and a building, a human being and a sofa in the house, or a human being and a pen or a pencil. This is scale. Design is basically for people. So if there are no people, if there is no man, then there would be no architecture. In the absence of man, fashion design will not exist. So in short, even if you are an artist, an architect, a designer, we are going to design for people, and so the study of the human body, the human form, the human proportions is very, very important. And since the language of the designer is drawing, we need to learn to draw a human figure, which then develops into what we call as gesture drawing, where in a very few minutes or seconds we should be able to draw people in action. We should draw people in their form, in their poses as models. So before we go ahead, let us understand why do we need to understand the human figure? Why do we as designers from different fields need to know them? And to what detail we should know human drawing, depending upon whether we are a fashion designer or an architect or from any other design field. So first, let us talk about the importance of human figure drawing for fashion designers. So let us understand why fashion designers need to know to draw the human form. So fashion design is all about dressing the human body. And it's not only a single standard body, it is about different sizes of body. When we say tall, short, fat, thin, so there are different types of the proportions of bodies, and the task of the designer, fashion designer, is to clothe each and every shape, and for that They have to know the human form, its proportions, the bone and muscle structure, which will aid you in creating something that fits the body and moves along with the body, and will also help you to understand about the fabric, how, where and why the fabric fits, falls or moves with the body. So all this through sketching, which is the fastest way a fashion designer can communicate to the client through sketches before making prototypes or spending money on making the actual sample and then clothing the model. This can help through sketching. How important is it to understand the figure drawing, human figure drawing for animation designers? So basically animation has different facets. When you know the anatomy, human anatomy, it helps you in storyboarding and character development. If you are talking about cartoon drawings, the construction of the figure you have to know, because each character has its own shape, personality and attributes. If you know how to draw a face and if you know facial expressions, that is not enough. If you don't know how to build their bodies, building up characters in cartooning or in animation will not be done. Similarly, what is the use of understanding to draw human figures for product designers or industrial designers? In this case, you need not be a pro artist to draw human figures in detail, but what all do you need is to relate the design with the human factor. For example, if you are designing a handheld blender in a kitchen, you need to know how a hand moves. How do you get a grip of the blender? This detailing is important. While if you are designing a washing machine, you need to know whether it is front loading or top loading, how does a man bend, what are the positions, what are the operating dimensions. Or if you are designing a chair for the dentist, you need to know that there are two people involved in it, one the doctor, one the patient, how one sleeps, what is the inclined position, what is the bending position, how both of them are going to move in order to have their activity successfully done. So there is a science behind all this in industrial design, which is called as a science which takes into cognizance man and machine. So the man-machine interface is called as ergonomics, and for this, drawing people knowing the proportions of a human being are very, very important. Now let us take one more case, which is about architects, interior designers and furniture design. This is one of the most important fields where drawing human figures is very, very important. There is a special science in architecture and interior designing which is based on man and space. Actually, in architecture, space is the canvas and man is the subject. The space has to accommodate the man and his activities, at the same time has to be comfortable for the man. This man and his space relationship is called anthropometry. When you draw a human figure near a building, it gives the sense of scale, and when you draw perspectives, it gives you, along with the scale, it gives you the sense of depth. This is very, very important. And also, every human being acknowledges and perceives the space around him, relating it to his own size. So something which is huge, something which is colossal, something which is imposing as a structure or diminutive or something which is very lofty or compressive. All these terms a person relates to his or her own shape, and that's why understanding the human body for an architect is very important. And the most important thing is an architect imagines, perceives and develops a creation before it is built. So when he draws a man into it, the client understands how this space is going to be after it has been built, and how is it going to be compared to him and his size, and how is it going to accommodate his experiences and actions. We have done with the introduction. We will go to the video and understand what are we going to learn in this first part, the first part of a series. In this part we will understand about basic human figure drawing, the proportions, the key parts of the body which we already know are the limbs, the torso and the head. How are they related to each other and how is their relationship? Basic anatomy, the male female figures, what's the difference between them, especially relating it to the Indian context, the Indian male and the Indian female. Let us understand the basic anatomy before we actually start drawing. Though the figure here shows too many details, we have to understand only the key points, the key organs and their proportions to help us draw a human figure. So if you see this figure, this is almost a life-size figure. Vertically split, the left side talks about the bone structure and the right side talks about the muscles which cover the bones. Coming from top to bottom, this is what we call the face, which right now shows the skull on one side and the muscular face on the other side. So from here to here is the face. From here to here what you see is neck. This are the collar bones. This is the rib cage. As we go down, this what you see is the pelvic bone or the hip bone, and this are the bones of the leg. This is the shoulder, and you see the bone structure of the hand. So shoulder, elbow, wrist and the hand. Here what you see is the pelvic bone. From here to here is the hip bone. This is the knee, the ankle and the leg. So this, if you find out, has certain proportions, and this is what we are going to learn through sketching. The face, from here to here is the torso, from here to here are the limbs. So basically the body is divided into three parts: the limbs, the torso and the face with the neck. What is the relationship between the face to the body, that is the torso, and to the limbs? How does the shoulder, the bones of the hand look after they have the muscular cover? How does the bone of the leg show when they have the muscular cover? These points are called the pivot points. What you see where you have the movement, which is the shoulder, the elbow, the wrist, the leg bones, the knee and the ankle. From here we go to the actual demo work of human figure drawing. So anytime when we start drawing a man, this is the head, and then we draw the body, the feet, this is the face, this is the torso and the limbs. This is the way we draw a human figure, but many times we are not aware how big this should be, how big or small this should be, and how much this should be. So when we draw this, at times it looks disproportionate. Someone may also draw it this big. Or so while drawing this is where our proportion goes wrong, and many of us even have a problem of where to start. So basically there is a mathematics behind the proportion, and everything runs with the face of man. This is the measure. So basically the human face this is called the height of face, and this is the width. Without going into the details of the face, our human body is made up of 7 to 8 heights of faces. What do I mean by that? If I draw a line and make 8 parts, if this is the height of the line and I make 8 parts out of this, how do I make it? I draw the line, then make half of it, then again half of it, this is if you don't have a scale, or you can measure it. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, by eyeball judgment, you can make. So you have this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 parts. And if you put this full face here, so the height of a man is 8 face height. This is how we start. So whether it is a man or a woman, we are talking about an adult human figure is equal to 8 times the height of his face. From here onwards, we go ahead to draw a typical Indian male and female. When we draw a face, see that the face is egg shape and not circular, not an ellipse. it's a egg. This is the eye line, this is the face line, and this is the center. A face of an adult person, man or woman, is ovalish egg shape, whereas a child has a circular face. As a person grows, this face becomes taller in height than the width. Okay, so if we are talking about 8 parts, whether it is man or woman, adult, the average Indian male is, say, 5 feet 9 inches tall, which is equal to 69 inches. Okay, and a female is, say, 5 feet 3 inches, equal to 63 inches. So taking this average heights, we will now be drawing a detailed male and female human figure. So this has to be done with exact measurements. Suppose we take this as the center line, and we have 1 inch measurements. So 9 lines make 8 divisions. Basically it is a unit, and 1 unit is 1 face, and we draw lines parallel passing through these points. We get 8 divisions. And why am I showing this? Is this entire human figure, if these measurements are correct, if these lines are parallel, then only you can get a proportionate human being. To start with, you have to do all this. Once you get a grip of things, you have enough practice, then you don't need to draw this with the scale. Your proportions will be perfected with practice. So now we have this, and we said that 1 division is 1 face. Okay, now we know that this is the height and this is the width of the face, and now we want to draw a human figure which is standing upright. So we now know that the height is 8 times the face. We must know the width. If the width is wrong and we have the height as 8, then also this is not going to be a correct proportionate figure. So we saw that our height is 1 inches. So if we take this exactly double of the height of the face, so I am putting 1 inch on either side. What I get is a box of, if I call this X, this is the face, this is X, so the width is 2x. So the whole man, an adult male, is going to sit into a 2 by 8 grid. Did you get it? So the width is twice the box, and we have to fit the entire human figure into a grid of 2 by 8. Since this is a small figure, for your benefit, I'll get a bigger grid which will help you to see it clear. So here it is. We have a grid of 2 by 8. You have 8 divisions. This is a perfect square, and as we were saying that if we are talking about an average Indian male, the height is 72 inches, which is 6 feet, and in centimeters it is 183. So if we divide it by 8 parts, each part goes to about 9 inch in height and 9 inch in width. So you're fitting the human being in 18 by 72 inches. Now let us start by putting the face. As we said, in the very first grid we have the center line, and the width of this is 2x, and 2x is what we are calling as y. So y is equal to 2x. Now when we draw the face, what we do is divide this entire length, which is y, into 3 parts, 3 equal parts. So as we have studied in 10th standard, how do we divide a line into equal parts? We can put it C and then divide it into 3 equal parts. So you get y by 3, y by 3, y by 3. These are 3 equal parts. The red line here shows the limits of the face. So this is how the face fits in. This is the eyebrow line, the face line. So we got the face in position, which is y by 3 by x. Now whenever we draw a human figure, let us come inside out. The first type we are going to draw is the bone structure, the basic bone structure. We saw the anatomy chart or the big figure scale drawing of a human figure with the bones and muscles. We will try to adopt and learn from that and make things simple for us. And let us start by drawing the bone structure, which we can call as a stick figure, using lines to make the bone structure. If the face is one face, this is the backbone, and we have all the divisions. Each division is assigned proportionately to the different organs. So if you come from here, this is the ground on which the person stands. 1, 2, on the second part, this is where his knees come. Third, fourth, this is where the crotch. What is a crotch? It's the point where the torso meets the limbs or the legs. So we have 4 divisions up, 4 divisions below, and this junction point is the crotch. The next point after that is the 5th compartment. This is where the navel is, and this is where your chest line or the lines of the nipples is somewhere on this line, and this line exactly below the face is where you have a collarbone or the shoulder line which comes here. These are approximate lines. They may vary from person to person, but for us to understand, we need to have all these lines to check if our person or the human figure that we are drawing is close to the proportionate human being or not. To find out where the shoulders are, we are going to come from top to bottom, knowing that the center of the figure is here, which is exactly 4 compartments below, 4 compartments above, and this is called the crotch. This is where the junction of where the hips meet the torso. So if you have the second division on top, you have a center of this. This is the center. Again, make a center of this. So you have half of this compartment, make half of that, and then make half of this. If I draw this line, this is where the collarbone is. Between this and this is the neck. And the collarbone, as we have seen, this is the junction, and it goes slightly up till the shoulders. We are drawing a male. So this is an adult male standing upright. This box is a guideline, and you saw this red line, which is the face. This is the spine, and you see a green line here. This dotted green line is where the bone structure of the male figure should be restricted to, and this outer side, which is the main box that we have drawn, is the extent of the muscle enclosure. So right now we are drawing the bone structure. Where do you get this green line is? Once you divide this entire width, which is 2x, which we called y, divide it into 3 parts, so you get 3 face width compartments. Whatever you get as the last compartment, the center of that is the green. So it is half of y by 3, half of y by 3. This is where the shoulders end, this is where the collarbone goes, and this is where you have the shoulder joint. Okay? Before drawing the body, the easiest way to come down now is relate the shoulders to the crotch, which is where the limbs start, and draw the hands. So if you start the hand from this point, they come slightly below the crotch. So I have it these circles or the ovals which I am drawing are the pivoted joints. So you have the shoulders from where you get the entire length of the hands. This is where your wrist ends. So this is between the wrist and the shoulder, and this is going slightly below the crotch where the limbs touch the body. Now you have this, you measure this hands. So, and mark the center of that somewhere here. This center is where your elbow comes. So we have the shoulder, we have the elbow, and we have the wrist. All this is happening in this part which is below the face. This is what we call as the torso. And now we have the hand. We have the center of this hand, which is the elbow. So this is equal to this. This is equal to this. Okay. Now once we have this, we take this elbow where it comes, draw a line connecting both the elbows. This is the area in which the rib cage of a male fits. It has to fit between these two green lines and between these two, and it ends very close to the elbows. So we'll draw a rib cage. So you have this line and you have this line of the face. Somewhere between that, the chest, that is the rib cage ends, and it starts somewhere here. It is again the shape of an egg. You have this compartment approximately center of this, and you get so this is the rib cage, and this is where the sternum, the spinal cord comes in. This is the rib cage, this is the crotch, and now we'll draw the hip bone which sits inside this width, and it is, you can draw an almond which sits below this. The height is almost the center of this box. Okay, and this is the hip bone where it starts, the crotch line, this is how it is connected. So you are completing the torso part of it. Now coming to the limbs, you can see that you have 4 divisions, and the knees are exactly at the center of this. So you have 2 parts here and 2 units here. You have the knees joint here. Instead of 1, I prefer to draw 2 ovals here, because this is where the movement takes place of the knees. And when I connect this, okay, this comes down, and just below the feet ends you have this center, which is the center of the last compartment. I take the center of this connect this and draw a triangle here with rounded edge. This completes my man with all the major junction points, and it fits between these 2 green lines. The muscles will come over this, and this structure is going to support the muscles. One pending thing in this is the hands, the palms beyond the wrists. So how long are the wrists? We have seen that the wrist goes below the pelvic bone, so that is below the crotch, and the length of this is equal to the height of the face below the eyebrows. So from chin to eyebrow. So if I draw a human face, if this are the eyebrows, the human hand is equal to the distance between the chin and the eyebrow. So if I take this distance, my hand will come somewhere height. We'll revise quickly. Height is 8 divisions. Each division is equal to the height of the face. The width of the human figure is twice the unit. If the height is 1 unit, this is 2 units. We come from top bottom. You have these 2 divisions divided into 3 parts. One part becomes the width of the head. So first we put the head and we come down. So you have the head, neck, collarbone, shoulders. This is where the cage comes in. This is the crotch. That is where the hip bone starts, the pelvic bone, and then you have the legs. Now, this is 8 divisions. In some books you will find it 7, 7.5, but we are doing it 8 because we are using it in the field of design, and a little longish person, a figure, always adds to the beauty of our drawings. And if the same person is going to be drawn by a fashion designer, maybe this can still extend down, and you have the feet here, and the total length of the height of the person becomes a little more extra.